Hey guys, so in this video we are going to start working with Stencyl. So the first thing that you need to do is to download Stencyl from their website, stencyl.com. You need to download the client so you don't have an online version, at least that I'm aware of, so you need to download it to your computer, and the first time that you open Stencyl, you need to create an account. Um, It is free. I mean, you have this. This is a free version. You can use it, and when you are using the free version, you can export the game to HTML5 and Flash, I think, but I don't know if Flash is still used. So I'm just exporting it to HTML5. But you need an account to use the program. At least I think so. I remember that yesterday I created an account. So yeah. Then after you create an account, you have this screen where you can start creating your game. So you click here to create a new game. You can start with a blank game or you can get samples. So you have a few samples here, like a platformer, dungeon game, and some other stuff. To be honest, I didn't use samples, so I just went with oh, don't remove. Oh, I don't. I was gonna delete the project that I'm working on. So I started with a blank game. I didn't want to start with a sample because I wanted to do everything from the beginning. So create a blank game, then you can give it a name. I'm gonna call it test because this is just to show you guys. And you have the screen size. In terms of the screen size, in my case, in the case of the Frogger, I end up with a size of 448 by 512. You can see it here. The original resolution is half of this, but then we would have like a really small game, in terms of resolution. So I am using the double of the original size. So 448 by 512. And it's important to use not exactly this resolution, but at least how you call it, multiples of this resolution, because we are going to use the grid, a grid of 32 by 32, and so you need to have a resolution that where the grid is exactly the fits exactly on that size. So 448 by 512, okay, you can create the game. And in this video, at least what I ended up using yesterday, I ended up using three different concepts that Stencyl has. So Stencyl has the concept of themes, and themes, you can see it here. I think this is the main thing that you need to create because a scene is the game world. So you can see it as a game world or you can see it at levels. If you have different levels, you are going to have different themes. Or you can have only a single scene where you have the entire game. In our case, we are going to have only one level, so we only have one scene, and we can click here to create a scene. I'm going to call it main because just a single one, and it's going to ask you about the tiles. And all scenes in Stencyl are organized in tiles. And when we talk about tiles, we are talking about that all scenes are organized in terms of a grid. So when you have this size for 48 by 512, like I told you, we are using a grid of 32 by 32. So it will automatically divide the scene into 14 tiles on the width by 16 tiles on the height. So you can see I'm using the tile width and height by 32 by 32, 14 and 16 tiles, that's okay. And the color, we can already select the black color, so we can have already all this area painted with black. And we create a scene, and this is it. This is going to be our game area. And now we are going to need to draw all this into this area. Before I just continue, I was talking about scenes, and Stencyl has this what they call Stencylpedia. I mean, it's like their documentation where you can see all the concepts that the engine has. And if you want to know more about scenes, you have this whole document about scenes where you can see what is a scene, how you can switch scenes, what are the tiles, and all this. So this is the documentation I'm using to learn about the engine. And the next concept, so we have the scene. Now I want to paint all this into my scene. And here we have two different things that we need to work with. We have the background, which is all the elements that don't move, that are not interactive, like this one here, this one here, and this one, and the color of the water, and the swamp houses here and the top. These are all non-interactive elements, so we can consider it as a background. And then we have our interactive elements, which Stencyl calls actors. So we have these two concepts. We have the tiles. I'm going to go into that in a moment. So we have actors, which are the living interactive parts of the game, and we have the background, which is made up of tiles. So what is a tile and what is a tile set? A tile is basically each one of these squares that we have in our game, and a tile set is an image where we add all the tiles that we use to paint our background. So you can see that our background, like I was saying, is made up of the water, the swamp houses, these lanes here, I don't know how to call them, and that's it, I believe, and yes. And to paint this background, I need to create a tile set with all the different type of tiles that I can use to paint it. So you can see it here. This is the tile set that I use to paint our background. So I have a tile to paint the blue area, I have a tile to paint this lane right here, and then I have a tiles to make up a swamp house. And just to show you, so this is basically all these tiles here. So this one and this one, this one, this one, and these two. So these are like these 6 tiles that I can create one house and the middle between the houses. And this is the most performant way to create tiles in our game, because we are not going to import each image, each tile separately. What we do is that we create a single image with all the tiles that we want, and then inside the engine we are going to tell it that, okay, this image has, I don't know how many tiles, I don't know, in this case we have 8 tiles, I believe. Yes, I think they are 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We have 8 tiles, and the engine will process the image and let us use each tile individually. So this is what is a tile set. Also, to know more about tile sets, you have a whole page on the documentation about the tile sets. And how can we import the tile set here to our game? So inside our scene, we have this here on the right, tile sets. We can add a new tile set. I'm gonna call it, I don't know, tile set, whatever, and create. And then we can choose image, and we're gonna tell what is the size of the width and the height of each tile. And to create the image, just to show you, so I'm actually using, I didn't paint this time, I didn't paint each one of the tiles on Piskel or anything like that. I'm just gonna do it for the actual actors, because I cannot easily take the background out of the actors. I mean, I could, but it's actually fun to paint them. So I'm not going to use it, do it for the background. So you can see that each tile, basically what I did is that, let me show you. So each tile is a frame. I'm using a frame with 32 by 32, and inside I put the entire image, and then I just position the image in a way that I can use only the part that I want. So this is 32 by 32, and the image is a 0, 0, which is on the top left corner, which means that I'm taking this frame here to get the blue frame. Then I'm using, of course I could just add a rectangle and paint it blue, but I don't know. I just started doing like this, and even the blue one got the same process. So for example, this one, you can see that the entire image is also here, and I just positioned the image in a way that I could get this tile from the entire image. And I did this to all the images. Then I just selected the entire tile set, I exported it, and now I'm going to show you something that yesterday was not working very well and I didn't figure it out. But let me try it again to see if this time I can figure it out, because I'm using all these images, and the images are already 32 by 32. So if I have 8 images all one after the other, I have an image with a width of 256. So my idea was just to export this. I'm gonna put here ×1, because this is export 1. It's the original size, let's say it like this. So I don't overlap the other one that I have there. And I will choose the image here. Let me show you. Where do I have that? work, pet projects, codes, Frogger, sprites. Okay, and here, oh, and now it says that the given image size 256 by 33 sorry, does not scale. Okay, and this is something strange with Figma. I don't know why this happens, because you can see here that Figma is 256 by 32, but we have this button here to resize to fit, and if I do this, it will resize to fit by 256 by 33. I have no idea why, because all the frames have the correct size, but I add an auto layout. An auto layout in Figma is basically a way to arrange all the child images on a row or as a column. And when I do that, you can see that the height is now 32, and I remove the auto layout, and if I do this again, now it's correct. I have no idea why this is happening. I think it's probably a bug or something that I'm not understanding, but this was the way that I found to solve this. So I'm going to export it again because we needed to have the correct size. And why is that? Because if we are going to tell the engine to divide our image into different tiles, it needs to have the exact size. Otherwise, when it's going to divide by 32 by 32, it's going to start like cropping images where we don't want. So I'm going to replace it. Let me see here. I'm going to cancel. And now you have the tiles here that you can edit. I didn't mess around with this, so I just came here to import a new image, choose another one, and this one. So I don't have that warning. And the scale here 4 times. I try to do like scale 1 time, and the tile width and the height is 32 by 32. Then if your original image has any space between the different tiles, you can add that spacing here. But in this case, they are all together, so I didn't do it. And if I add, you can see that I have nothing. And to be honest, I don't know why, because I'm exporting the image with the original size. I'm importing, I'm saying that the image has the original size. There is no need to scale the image, or the image is not scaled actually. And when I import it, it doesn't work. So what I figured out that it does work is exporting this image not at with the original size, but 4 times the original size. Yeah, now I'm going to export on top of the other one. So you can see that now this was the original one, 256 by 32. This is the new one, 144, 24 by 128. And now if I import this one, so I'm going to choose the image, I'm going to choose the tile set. You can see the image, but it's bigger, so yes, okay. The scale, I'm going to put it, okay, the image is scaled 4 times. The tile size, width and height is the same. And now I add the image and I have the tiles right here. I don't know exactly why this happens. So if any of you guys know, please just let me know, because I didn't research any of it, to be honest. So I just find that, okay, this works, so I'm gonna go with it. And now we have a tile set. So you can see that we imported our entire image, and now we have all the different frames that we can use in our scene. And this is our more complex thing that you can use, like collision. When you have a tile, for example, imagine that you are painting a level where you have like a wall. So you can say that that tile has a collision box where, so when the actor goes into that tile, it just collides with the tile and cannot pass through the tile. In this case, we don't have collision, so we don't need to worry about that. And we don't have frames. I mean, on each tile, we can also add more images to create a small animation on that tile. And we also don't have that. So I'm just going to save it. And now we need to say that we want to use it on, oh no, we don't need to use it. So we can go back to the scene. So you can see here that we have the different tabs here on the top. We go back to the scene and you can see that we have our tiles right here. And now we can start painting. This is just like painting with the brush, like you were on Paint or Photoshop or whatever. And you can just paint using the tiles that you select here. Now let me see. in our original. So okay, so we're gonna use this one to paint the second row from the bottom, and then we're gonna have 5 lanes and paint the other one. So I'm gonna paint this white right here, and so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and this one right here. Now all the rest is blue, if I'm not mistaken. Yes. And I think I haven't tried this yesterday, but I think they have a rectangle here. So let me see. Okay, yeah, cool. We can paint with the rectangle, and now we can paint the houses. So they start on the second row, and now we need to select the correct tile of the house so we can paint all the 5 houses. So we have this one here, which is the first one. So this is the first tile here. Let me see if they have a grid. Okay, I can activate the grid here. And now 1, 2, 3. So I'm gonna use these ones like this. Yes, these ones and these ones and these ones. Yes, that's it. Now this is the other part of the house. I'm painting the top of the house. Now I'm gonna paint the walls here and here, and paint the rest. So this is the middle and the top. And yes, this is it. This is our background. So I think I'm not missing anything. No, this is going to be like a user interface, and this is also user interface, and everything else are actors, at least I think. So this is how we use a tile set and how we paint the tile set. And now we are going to add actors. So we are going to add the frog. At least this is what I did yesterday. So first of all, I created a frog, and in this case, like I told you, I didn't want to, where is it? I didn't want to remove the background here from the image and dealing with all that. And it's really simple to paint all these images. So I just painted the images on Piskel. You can see it here. A thing to notice is that the original sprites have 16 by 16. So I just scaled down the Piskel image to 16. I paint the frog exactly the same as we have on the game. At least I think so. No, not this one. Yeah, I think it's exactly the same. But then when I exported with a scale of 2, so it exported as 32 by 32 pixels. And I painted all the, sorry. Let me just. And I painted also all the different versions of the frog. So you can see that we have 8 sprites for the frog. So it moves up, left, down, and right, and each one of the direction has 2 different frames to create the animation. So you have the frog like the default up version, and when you move, the default left, and when you move left, down, and right. So I painted the first one and the second one, which are these 2. And then I just duplicated all the frames and rotated like each one of the frames to get all the directions. And you can see here the animation if it is using all the frames that we have right here. Oh, it's something like this. And then I exported. Initially, I exported all these frames as a tile set, because when you export, you can see here, if you export like a PNG, you can export like a sprite sheet tile set is going to be the same. So you can export as a sprite sheet, and you can say how many columns that you want or how many rows. So initially, I exported like this. You can see here. Oh, sorry. It's the same. You can see here. So I exported a sprite sheet with 3 by 3, and I thought that I was going to use that inside Stencyl, because just like we did with the tile set, I would just import the entire image and then cut the image as I wanted. But it doesn't work that way, because Stencyl, when you create an actor, and let me show you, let's create a new actor. And to create a new actor, you go to the dashboard, I think. Actor types, yes. Actor types contain no actor. You click here, let's call it frog. Create a frog, and actors in Stencyl, I mean, the images you use for the actors are called animations, and you have different animations. So what I'm assuming, and I haven't implemented the rest or the movement, so I'm assuming it will work like this, that you need to add a different animation for each one of the movements. So you need an animation to move up, an animation to move left, one to move right, and one to move down. And that's what I did. So I ended up exporting the frames from Piskel as individual images. And in Figma, I arranged the images side by side. Like you can see here, like frog up, frog left, frog down, frog right. And then I exported each one of these images individually. And then on Stencyl, I add a frame, I choose an image. So in this case, I'm going to choose frog up. And I'm going to say has one column, 2 columns, and 1 row. Scale 4 times because I also exported the image to times 4 because times 1 didn't work as well. And I added, and you have animation, and you can call it like move up, something like this. Move up, and then we will create all the other ones. So we can come here, create a new animation. Let's call it, I don't know, move left. Add a frame, choose image, frog left, 2 columns, 1 row. Okay. Let me see if I can duplicate this. No, I can't. What is this? Oh, duplicate animation. No, but I don't know if I can change the images, so I'm good. Just gonna import the rest of them. I'm gonna try to duplicate just to see what happens. Okay, 2 columns, 1 row. Okay, and let me see if I duplicate this one. Okay, I could just say, okay, it's move down. And then how could I import frames, edit frame, copy? No, I couldn't do. Oh, maybe I could just import the other frames and then remove. Okay, it's the same as creating a new one. Maybe if we even have more trouble. Yeah, you can see like it added the 2 new ones here, and now we can remove the frames from this one. So move up, move left, move right, and move down. This is it. And now that we have our actor, you can press here on the top right to add our actor to the scene. You select what scene you want to use the actor, and you see that we have the Frogger here. The Frogger, not the frog here. But then you still have the frog selected. I didn't understand because maybe you can add several instances of this actor on the scene. So you can see that I still have the frog, and if I press, I can still keep adding actors. But because I think we are painting, I think the concept is always the same. So like you paint with tiles, you can also paint the scene with actors, probably something like that. So then you need to just stop using the pencil and go to the select mode. And in this case, I'm just going to remove all these instances because I don't want them. And then I'm going to position the frog in the right place. And to know exactly the right place, let me see, because I want to position the frog exactly. So you know that the frog is going to be exactly in the middle. I think it starts exactly in the middle, right here. And one thing to notice, at least if you were following the tutorial on Scratch, you know that understanding the coordinate system is really important to position the sprites correctly. On Scratch, I don't know if you remember, but the center point of the game area was in the middle. You have the X and the Y, the X and the Y, and the center point is in the middle. In this case, the center point is on the top left corner. So this is the position 0, 0, and the bottom right corner is going to have the coordinates going to be equal to the width and the height of the game area, which is the same as Figma works. So to position the sprite correctly, so we know that, for example, on the width, the X position, so we know that our scene has 448 of width, so half of it is going to be 224. But the position of the frog cannot be 224 because in Stencyl, the center point of our actors is also on the top left corner. So if we position our frog on 224, it's going to position like this. So it's 224 minus 16, which is 208. if I'm not mistaken. And to position the frog, you select the frog and the inspector, you come here to the inspector, yes. And here, 208. And in terms of height, is 512 minus 32 minus, okay, sorry, but I'm really tired. So I won't be doing this very simple math, but I'm not going to be doing that. 512 minus 32 minus 16, 464. If I'm not mistaken, once again, let me see. 464, no. Oh no, in this case is actually 512 minus 512 minus 16, right? Minus 32, sorry, which is 480, yeah. Minus, oh, I can do the math here. Sorry, now I'm just 448. That's the one that we want. Why is that? Let me just show you. Okay, so the center point, not the center point, the pivot of the image of our sprite is here on the top left corner. I was calling center point, but it's not a center point actually. It's a pivot of the sprite and the game scene. Is on the top left corner. So we have here we have 512. If we do 512 minus 32, what will happen is that it will be this position here. So we need to do 512 minus 32 minus 32 once again. So we can position here. Initially, I was doing half of the size, like I did with width. That's why it's stuck on this position. So it's 448. Oh, and now I see that since the sprite is a child of the frame, I could also see the position here. But yes, now you know how to do the math. And this is what I have so far in my project. And now let's just test the game. I'm going to select HTML5 here. Press test the game, and it's going to open on the browser, if I'm not mistaken. And it won't do anything. So we have like our game scene with the background and the frog just doing this moving up animation. Okay, it's compiling. And this is it. Okay, here we have our game. It's not much, but it's what we have right now. So this is it. I mean, this is exactly the same state that I have my project. And now I'm going to continue working on it and adding, probably what I'm going to do next is moving the frog. I think that's the next step. I'm going to move the frog and be able to move the frog up, down, left, and right, and play the right animation as I'm moving it. So that's it. I'll see you on the next video. Thanks.